let's talk about the DEA. How is the Drug Enforcement Administration keeping us safe by collecting license plates? I don't quite understand that.
Oh, there's nothing to understand. It's really amazing that when these data came out, that the DEA is just sitting around thinking, how can we circumvent constitutional limits to privacy? How can we get around these laws that are in place to keep people secure from the government? And they don't care. They just want to get as much information as possible and use it for their nefarious reasons. And I think it's kind of outrageous that this is basically their approach, instead of thinking, what can we do to get people not to hate us? And they don't care.
No, they don't care. In fact, they're in bed with the CIA and the NSA and other law enforcement agencies. They've been collecting all sorts of data for a long time, which is really freaky because American voters are sending a very different message about drugs, particularly about marijuana right now, and it's more of a live and let live time. Yet, you know, if for some reason they don't allow the DEA to do this, the agency will have to shrink and they'll have to give up their budgets, and then there's going to be a big fat fight. What do you think?
Well, yeah, you know, I think a lot of people are changing their mind about drugs and the way we view them, wanting them to become legal and helping how they can help us and our economy and everything like that. But unfortunately, there are some people who just take a little too far. There are people who do very bad things. And so sometimes we also need to do a little trickery in order to get these tricky people. So I am all for it.
Really? So you don't mind the DEA collecting information on everyone through any means necessary?
You know what?
Why is that?
I understand that the American people want transparency, but sometimes I don't think it's as beneficial, because right now we're all just paranoid. And I mean, the drugs already make us paranoid. So let's, you know, leave it be.
Well, it's kind of justified paranoia, isn't it? Because the things that we had worried about, that Edward Snowden revealed, they've really come to fruition.
What I'm paranoid is about a bunch of SWAT team members knocking down my door without a warrant because they have the wrong address, and having a machine gun put to my head, wrecking all my stuff and being like, oops, you know, we did it again, with no repercussions whatsoever. So these laws are in place, the Constitution is in place to make sure that never happens. But when it comes to the DEA and agents like that, you know, this was Nixon's plan to shred the Constitution and basically have this kind of police state enforcing people. And I'm not a drug user, but I do want to feel secure in my home.
All right, so Nixon's not running for president. Marco Rubio looks like he's going to. And, you know, he's really popular with Republicans on a lot of issues. On Cuba, he wants to make sure that the oppressive regime there doesn't continue, but he doesn't mind the oppressive NSA continuing. Do you think that's going to be a problem for him? And do you think that could be an issue in 2016?
There's so many issues. I mean, I didn't feel oppressed until Edward Snowden, all of your hero, was leaking all this information about the NSA. I loved my ignorance. I really did. And I think he's a very selfish man for bringing all of that out. It is an issue to some people, but I don't think it's as big of an issue to the majority, and I don't know that that will hurt him in the future.
So you blindly trust your government? If the government is overstepping the bounds of the Constitution, you really don't have a problem with that?
I don't at this point. If it were to affect me more personally in the future, I'm sure I might. But right now, I say with blind conviction that I'm okay with it.
I admire your conviction. I disagree with it, though.
I'm all for selfishness, but this idea, if it doesn't hurt me personally, what's the problem? It's really kind of insane.
That is very let them eat cake.
And it's right.
I love cake. I'll take seconds.
I'm for cake as well over pie. But, you know, working with North Korea and seeing what it's like when you have a government which has infiltrated every aspect of society.
Yes, but wouldn't you say we're more vulnerable now because of all this information that has been leaked?
No, we're vulnerable because the people who are reading our mail isn't the drug user, it isn't your obnoxious next door neighbor, it's the government. They're doing it explicitly and openly, and they're going to use these things for bad purposes. Yeah. And the idea, you know, the Republican Party wants red meat, they're sick of Obama, and the idea that like a milquetoast like Rubio is going to get traction, I think is very difficult to sell.